Good morning, Rabotai. Welcome to Breakfast in the Class. Breakfast in the Class today is sponsored by Jack and Scott, dedicated in loving memory, Lunishmat Helen Bat Simcha, Alea Shalom. Also dedicated in loving memory of Miriam Zare, Lunishmat Miriam Bat Shamzi Moshe Hayim, Alea Shalom. And our Askara sponsored by her grandson, Emmanuel Zare. Also dedicated for the complete recovery and health for Alea Shlomo Farhi and Haim Rafael Ben Frida, and the continued health of Chana Bat Sima Fega. The year of Breakfast in the Class is dedicated loving memory of Ruth or Fali Bat Adela, Hashem sponsored by her family, and loving memory of Nisim Zaga Nisim Ben Salha Alava Shalom. The week of Breakfast in the Class is dedicated in loving memory of Ruth's father Yaakov Baruch Kohen, Lilishmat Yaakov Baruch Ben Rachel Alava Shalom for his Askara, sponsored by Ruti and Rafi Fuzailov. And Breakfast in the Class is sponsored by Batya Kahan of Batya's Kitchen, dedicated for a speedy and complete refuah shema for Avivit Zlata Bat Malka, the refuah shema v'hachlama mehira, so you can get back to doing all your holy work for Klal Yisrael. Batya's Kitchen is, of course, also open now for all your Shavuot holiday needs in order to enhance your Yom Tov with the beautiful cooking that she does with such heart. Okay, last but not least, the learning for this week is dedicated by the Torah Center Gold donors, the Dishi brothers. In love memory of Shmat, their grandparents, Esther and Ezra Dishi, Esther Bat Rachel, and Ezra Ben Rivka, Alehem Shalom, and the Neshamot have an Aliyah. Let us begin. My friends, today we have the unfortunate opportunity to dedicate the class to two holy souls, Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. Two people who were Israeli embassy staffers that were gunned down in cold blood last night in Washington, D.C., in front of the Jewish Museum while there was an event inside the museum. Now, the killer, Elias Rodriguez, Yemach Shemo V'Zichro, as soon as he killed them, began to scream, "Free Palestine." He talked about globalizing the Intifada. My friends, it is very important to understand what we are being taught here by this heinous crime. And that is something which I believe is super simple, but at the same time seems to elude all the brilliant people around the world who seem to have their heads screwed on backwards, if at all. I just want to, as an example, address the heads of colleges that believe that free Palestine is an issue of free speech, that globalize the Intifada is an issue of free speech. I want you to understand that you collectively have murdered Yaron Lashinsky and Sarah Milgram. I want you to understand that while the newspapers are advertising that the story is a story of a man who murdered Israeli embassy staffers, nothing could be further from the truth. He did not walk up to these people, check their profile on LinkedIn, see that they were Israeli embassy staffers, ask them what their position was on Gaza aid, and then murder them. He killed Jewish people outside of a Jewish event, even if it was an Israeli event. Who would be attending that event? Jews. This is a man who had a ring ready to propose to get engaged to his girlfriend in Jerusalem as they returned to Eretz Israel. Tzila Gaz, a woman on her way to the hospital, pregnant, ready to deliver her baby, who was murdered on the way to the hospital. This is the result of your war. Not on Israel, not on the IDF, but on Jews, but on innocent civilians. When you allow the words to be uttered in America, globalize the Intifada, you are saying, kill people who don't agree with the Palestinian cause. That is what you are saying. This murder did not happen in some backwater place. It happened in the playground of Donald Trump. It happened a short distance away from the FBI, from the Washington police. It happened a short distance away from the Holocaust Memorial. This is an absolute response, an absolute outcome of the fact that we are allowing people to say the words, globalize the Intifada. That means bring the intifada to every country. So when it comes to the country, and you defended protests that were saying this, and allowed people to hide their identities as they said this, that means that you are on the team of a death cult. So let's be absolute, let's be resolute in declaring what actually happened here. It has become legalized in America to call for the death of Jews. That is what we learned last night. That is what we woke up to this morning. Teheh Zichram Baruch. A couple that would get married and build a home is dead. As he pulls out his keffiyeh. I want you to think of that. Every keffiyeh wearing graduate who stood up at the podium at their graduation and said these words again. That's what you shouted for. So today, on your social media, take a long, hard look at Yaron and Sarah's smiling faces and realize you killed them. We cannot afford anymore to play this game. Synagogues all around the world are beefing up security. Places will develop things like man traps. They'll make sure that there are CSS guards at the door, that there are global and internationally renowned security companies that will guard the entrance to the synagogues, to the schools, to the various places of Jewish gathering. It is pointless if they could shoot people outside of those places. So let's be clear. Today, the UK offered the Israeli embassy in England protection. And this is a message to David Lammy. This is a message to Keir Starmer. Keep your protection. When yesterday you declared sanctions on the state of Israel, you froze trade with the state of Israel, you declared which side you stand on. So here you go. You can keep your security when you're part of the reason why we need it. Now, my friends, this is not so that I can, in breakfast in the class, give some tirade against the various people who are standing in the way of safety and security for Jewish people in what call themselves free countries. Donald Trump is a friend. I don't care what your politics. He's a man who stood up and started an anti-Semitism factor and in the government, faction in the government. Mayor Eric Adams set one up in New York City. Whether it's politically motivated or not, I don't care. It means that less Jews will be killed because of it. Less Jews will be beaten because of it. In the soaring rates of anti-Semitism in the United States, there are some people who are taking notice and saying, you know something? This idea that everyone is one under God, that idea, the idea that every person should be valued equally in this country, the idea that you don't only protect black people, and you don't only protect gay people, and you don't only protect trans people, and make sure that a trans person can compete in some other gendered athletic, that idea, it also extends to Jews. Is the reason why Yaron and Sarah were not worthy of your protection because Yaron was not engaged to a man and Sarah was not engaged to another woman? Would that have made you want to defend them more? This is where we are. Wake up. Understand that when the Torah tells you that there are laws of Lashon Hara and that there's an entire book written by the Chafetz Chaim on Shmirat HaLashon, understand that words, they have a price. They are something that actually cause things to happen. In a positive sense, sure, when they are positive. When they are negative, when they are murderous, what do they cause? They cause murder. Every day or every night, by whatever time I can get to it, I record a little segment on Lashon Hara. I have a podcast called Say No to Lashon Hara on Spotify. There's WhatsApp groups you could join if you want to learn how to speak properly. But while we are talking every day about guarding your tongue and speaking properly on the streets of the city and at graduations. This is going on. So make a decision. Universities. Are you hotbeds of hate or are you places of education? And the rule has to change. When you see in the highest rates of anti-Semitism in this country, probably since its inception, get the message that you're doing something wrong. And I ask you one simple question. Do the rights of people to protest trump the lives of the people who lose them? At some point, you have crossed from free speech to speech where we are paying the ultimate price. And last night, it was buy one, get one free. In Judaism, we learn an idea, and the idea is that when you see something happen, you respond to that happening in kind. And how do you respond to that happening in kind? If these are absolutely the result of words, I have a hint for you. Elias Rodriguez, Yemach Shemo, did not grow up in Gaza. He's from Chicago. If that's where we are, understand that that had to be born of the rhetoric and conversation that is going on in this country. And our rabbis teach us that when we see something devastating like this, the response has to be that we respond by strengthening ourselves in that mitzvah, in the thing that caused the catastrophe. This is not to say that this is because we did not do something. But I would ask people today to join us in this crusade to learn a little bit about Shmirat HaLashon and Lashon Hara each and every day. Damaging speech, negative speech, even speech that might be construed as negative, even speech that might have somebody do something differently because of it. In Judaism, we are taught that that speech is forbidden. So while you have academics pontificating from on top of their high pedestals, as if they stand for the highest moral value, I would like to see how many heads of these colleges will turn up tomorrow, or whenever it is, to a funeral that they caused. Jews in this country have to make a decision. And that decision has to be, what do you vote for when you vote? And I want to be razor sharp and crystal clear. This is not a political push. This is not me telling you to vote Republican or Democrat. I'll tell you one thing. Voters vote on voters' issues. There are a lot of issues that are important to voters. But I'm sure we could all agree that the most important issue to a voter is whether or not they can remain alive enough to continue to be a voter. So to all Jews in America that are siding with a group of politicians that are allowing this to happen, whoever those politicians might be, whatever side of the fence they might be on, today is the day you rethink where you cast your vote. Today is the day that you take Yaron and Sarah with you into the voting box, into the ballot box. Are you voting for dead Jews or live Jews? That is the price today of allowing this to continue on college campuses. Now, just to be clear, the idea that you're going to suspend somebody and then bring them back for graduation, I don't know that that helps the cause at all. Now, I don't say solutions here in the breakfast in the class. That's not my job. My job is to inspire Jews and non-Jews that are listening. And there are a fair few of them. Understand what is at stake now. You know, a while ago someone asked me, why are we so obsessed in America with Israel? Well, number one, it's our home. Our children, our brothers and sisters live there. It's our family. It's the Jewish homeland. It's the only place we can escape to. When countries are letting stuff like this happen, it's our lifeline, a lifeline we did not have. When people were killed in gas chambers because no country would take them, when Hitler was allowing Jews to leave, there were no countries that would have us, including this one, FDR. I'm talking to you. Understand that Israel is literally the life jacket. It is the defibrillator that can save the Jewish nation. And it has been necessary in the past, and I shudder to think that it may be necessary again in the future. But ladies and gentlemen, no longer can you turn to an American voter and ask him why his top line voting priority is Israel. Surely as an American, he should vote for issues that are relevant to America. Well, I know that if Chinese people were being murdered because they were Chinese, I know that if black people were being murdered just because they were black, I know that I would be a voice that stood in solidarity with that, and I would vote for a country that doesn't kill its inhabitants based on creed, color, race, or religion. I feel like most of us would be that. Well, today, I want to ask that question to America. And it's presumptuous to think that America would listen to this. But negative speech has ramifications. And the laws of Lashon Hara, while they apply to Jews, are unfortunately part of the fabric of reality for the entire world. So wake up this morning, smell the coffee and the 2 dead bodies. Here you go. This is what you allowed. Nay, this is what you encouraged. And I ask Kathy Hochul if she still feels that people should be allowed to hide behind a mask when they protest in this manner and shout from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, free of Jews. They passed the weakest possible law affecting criminals hiding themselves, cowards who would create an environment in which a man called Rodriguez wants to kill Jews outside a Jewish event, right smack dab in the middle in Washington. The swamp is strong and healthy. We haven't cleared it yet, and it certainly hasn't been drained. My question to all of us who are not in politics, except for Sam Sutton, is what will we do? What will we change? Because clearly it no longer helps to make sure that criminals can't get in if they can kill people outside. At the very least, it has to affect the way we vote. At a max, it affects the way we campaign and lobby for these laws to be changed. But on a spiritual level, it requires every man, woman, and child to commit to learning the laws of Lashon Hara. We are being killed by protests. We are being killed by Heil Hitler videos from Kanye. We are being killed by commencement addresses. I don't know about you, but I've had enough. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu see the will of His people. May He see our concerted effort to guard our tongues, to speak kindly about other people, to never look for the negative in someone, to never speak about a way that might even harm someone financially, never mind with their life. And we have a promise from God that when we do that, and when we shine in that arena, then that will be an area within which we will have some form of protection. That is the only form of security that I could see in this moment. Yehi Zichram Baruch. I hope that in Shamayim, Yaron and Sarah have the most beautiful wedding with all of the souls and neshamot of those that came before us, and that they will become a Melitz Yosher, they will become Melitze Yosher, heavenly advocates for the change that so desperately needs to come in countries around the world. In Britain, in Spain, in Germany. Even our friends somehow don't see what is happening to us. Somehow don't see that we, like any other nation, cannot and should not stop until our hostages that are blatantly being held, and now we know tortured, and now we know experiencing sexual harassment, and now we know being starved and beaten. What country in the world would accept this and would not fight? And now you want to blame us because we're better at war than the ones who killed 1,200 people on that day? We will not apologize for our strength, and we will not stop until this is done. My last call is to Jews around the world, especially liberal ones. You don't realize the damage you do when you criticize the state of Israel. When you write op-eds in the paper against Netanyahu, agree with him or not, understand that you fan the flames of these comments, of these protests, when they get to say, see, even the Jews agree. Whether you are in Israel and on the left and using these comments to build yourself up, to get more people to vote for you, to get more eyeballs to your X account, or to your LinkedIn account, or to your whatever, recognize that this is the price that you have caused, that you have to be able to sleep with at night. And there's not enough Ambien in the world to give you a good night's sleep tonight. May Hashem bless us to see the consequences of our actions. May He bless us that we understand the consequences of our words. May He bless us to be people that are pure of speech. As the Pasuk says, Mi ha'ish hechafetz chaim, who is the man who desires life. Ohev yamim lirot tov, he loves days to see good in the world. Nitzor lishonecha mera, protect your tongue from speaking evil. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.